The truth is, I never wanted to go viral. I know this sounds like a cover up, but it's actually true. I started a seasonal wellness business back in 2020. And in hindsight, I never wanted to be posting on Instagram, but that's all I was doing. It genuinely was never enjoyable for me. I did not like keeping up with trends. I did not like keeping up with posting. I did not like just posting for the sake of being relevant. It felt like an ever-changing platform that I could never fully grasp, full of sound bites to larger dreams. It never fully resonated, but I continued. What happened when I continued? I epically burnt out to where the business flopped altogether. Long story short, I became obsessed with trying to figure out how to create authentic content for my purpose-driven business without feeling like a content creator first and a business owner second. In order to figure this out, I actually started creating content for other purpose-driven businesses through a hobby of mine that I adored, that I actually went to college for, which was photography and videography. Through this process, I found that there was a much, much deeper problem at hand than I ever even knew in my own journey. I found that these heart-led business owners actually needed to become content creators to stay relevant in their space. This is a huge, huge problem in 2025, staying relevant as a brand, a business who's super passionate, but also not feeling like you want that to take over your life and become a second job altogether. But this is really only one side of the coin. And in this video, I am flipping that coin to the other side and teaching you how to create an organic content marketing strategy for your business that replaces your marketing strategy altogether. It's basically an all-in-one solution, and it is the only thing you need to pay attention to if you want to succeed in the online space, if you want an online platform to build a community in your local business, whatever it is, it does not have to take up all of your time. At the end of the day, I started that business back in 2020 to fulfill a dream that lived in my soul, not to become a content creator in the process, to fulfill the desires of our current landscape and society, to just constantly stay relevant. So let's get into this model, what it is, and how you can adopt it for your business. Welcome back to my channel, where I teach you how to get real results from your content without it taking up all of your precious time. My name is Liz Manuel. I'm a 6-year photographer turned content strategist and producer who has gone full-time in my business producing podcasts over the past 6 months for my clients, and I want to teach you everything I've learned. On the 1st of December, I'm going to be running a live workshop teaching you how to actually produce your own podcast in full, from plan to publish to goal setting to strategy. I'm running through all of it in that workshop. I'll talk about this more at the end of the video, but if you're interested in signing up, the link is in the description below. So the first part of this system is first understanding why you started creating content in the first place. What was the reason that you wanted to be on Instagram, if that's what it was? What is the reason you're on YouTube? What is the reason you blog? Like, what was the initial motivation as to why you do that? Whatever that reason is a big indicator of what you actually want for your business's content. Was the reason to educate? Was the reason to build community? Was the reason to grow your business? Understanding what your goal was in the first place when you first initially started thinking about content with your business, this is going to be the foundational goal for your content marketing strategy. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I always start with goal, and there is a reason for that, because if we are not creating content in alignment with our goal, we are going to burn out, we're going to feel unfulfilled, and we're going to feel like, what are we even doing this for? We want to always know the needle we're pushing, the reason we're doing something, so that we have a fire, a desire, a motivation to keep creating. Goal setting is actually a huge part of consistency in that sense. Not only consistency, but dedication to what you're doing. And that's why we always start with this. But let's move on to the next one, since you probably already heard me talk about goals a million times. The next part of this strategy is to lean into long-form content. Long-form content is actually more sustainable than short-form content, and there's a few reasons why. When people watch your long-form content, they're essentially paying you with their attention. Now, when somebody pays you with your attention, there's a lot more going on than just that. They're building trust with you. They're acknowledging your expertise, and they're sticking around to see what you have to say further. Yes, you might be getting, in the beginning, lower retention on your videos. You might be like, why are people clicking out when there's minutes left, maybe 5 minutes left of your video, 10 minutes left of your video? Still be grateful that those people even clicked on your video to hear what you had to say, because that is showcasing that somebody wanted to hear what you had to say And if they clicked out, maybe you can work on connecting the point you're making sooner than what you did in the video, or just optimizing your videos in a way to make them more engaging upfront so that people stick around longer. This is a nuanced detail, but the point is that when people are watching your long form content, it's an investment. It is not just a scroll by. They are wanting to hear what you have to say. They are choosing to listen to you. And that is a huge deal. It's much more big deal than people like to make it out to seem, because they're actually getting value from you every single second that they stay watching your videos. The second reason why long form content is much more sustainable than short form is because the major platforms for long form content, I would say, in terms of social media, would be YouTube and Pinterest, as Pinterest always tends to link out to longer pieces of content. And Pinterest is much more forward with blogging, but we will still consider it a longer form, promotional, searchable content platform. Now, what is the reason I say searchable? What YouTube and Pinterest actually have built in within them is a search engine capability. Now, Instagram and TikTok and Twitter don't necessarily have the same capabilities, although I'm sure they are getting much, much better with showing up on Google. And of course, I've seen things pop up on Google from Instagram, Twitter, and stuff like that. But when you think about longer form platforms, even Reddit could be considered a longer form platform. These search results can last for years. I could almost bet you, and leave me a comment if this is true, you probably have searched something on Google and then you saw a YouTube video from 14 years ago show up, or a blog from 5 years ago show up, right? They tend to have higher search capability simply because there is more content within them. And the more content you have, the more ability there is for somebody to find you and search for you, right? If you fill your description, you fill the meta tags, you fill the title, there's a lot of words in there. And that is why long form content has high search capability, and therefore it is also sustainable long term. And the major connection you have to make with this long form content showing up in search is if your blogs and your YouTubes lead to your offer, this is really great news. This means that years from now, somebody could find your YouTube video, and if your YouTube video led to an offer that still exists, you're golden. What if this person was your ideal client and they found you finally? Lastly, long-form content is the ultimate community builder. When you think about long-form content, you can somewhat consider it a conversation or a little chat with a friend, right? Versus social media platforms that are like 15 to 90 seconds long, don't build the amount of connection that I believe we're all looking for. It's the same reason when we find a short form platform that we like, or somebody on Instagram that we really resonate with, we go to their profile and see what else they have to say because we want more. We always want more from the people that we resonate with. So give that to them in the first place rather than starting on a short form platform and then building that up over time. It is going to be much more sustainable for you to invest in long form content creation so that you can give your people these longer conversations with you. The last thing I'll say about this also is you are subconsciously building your authority in your viewer's mind when you create long form content. You can't really acknowledge it or see it clear as day, but when somebody finds your channel, they subscribe because they like your content, maybe they binge you a little bit, right? What is that doing subconsciously? That is reiterating your knowledge, your expertise into their brain. And guess who the first person they're going to think of is going to be when they think about the problem that you always are solving in your videos? It's you. They're going to think of you because you've already planted that seed in their brain. And all it's doing is cultivating more and more information in their brain about why you might be the best solution for them. And if they continue to listen, they keep coming back to you, that is a great sign that you are already planting these seeds with your whole audience. All right, guys, here's the kicker. Here is what makes this whole business model really work together, okay? And it is repurposing long form content to power your business. Okay, so now you understand why long form is so sustainable, why it's the best for long-term business, sustainable business. But how does it all work together? How does it all become one? Consider that you have one long form content piece every single week. This is actually what I recommend. Now, what is the number one marketing mechanism that serves your warmest audience? Think outside the box. Think of what you've always heard works the best. It's email. So we want to work in your long form content piece with email. Now, how do we do that? The easiest, most low hanging fruit way to do this is by getting yourself a really amazing prompt with AI, getting your transcription from your video, from your long form content piece, and translating it into an email that can be sent to your audience, your email subscribers, every single week. I have an AI prompt that is magical. It is amazing. And I'm actually going to throw it up on the screen just so you can have it and use this for your business. So definitely take a screenshot right now if you want to copy this down. But there are a couple details here that you're going to want to definitely not change from this prompt. The number one thing is the authenticity that's coming through, right? You probably notice in this prompt how I say, please make this sound like me. Please make this sound authentic to me. I'm the one speaking in this transcript. So make this email sound like me, right? You also want to keep in there the idea of enticing your audience to click on the content piece, right? This is going to become a loop in your business, right? You get subscribers from maybe your YouTube channel, let's say. Maybe you have some free resources, which I'm currently going through a revamp right now with my free resource vault. That's why I'm not really calling that into action, as I'm really focused on my program, my workshop coming up. But ideally, you're going to want to have some sort of free resource for people through YouTube, right? You make content, maybe you make podcast episodes, and maybe you have a free resource that helps them further solve this problem that you are constantly speaking about and that you hold the solution for. Once they become subscribers, they are in your corner, right? Like they're in your little circle and they want to hear from you. So don't feel like you are spamming them. If they didn't want to hear from you, they would have unsubscribed already and they would have just taken that free resource and left. So when you send them weekly emails of your content, the first thing that they found of you in the first place that actually allowed them to get the free resource, right? They're going to be interested in your other content. And when you do this, it just causes the algorithm to acknowledge that the same people are coming back. These people with the same interests are coming back to watch your content. And it's only going to help your content reach more of your ideal audience. You're also showing up every week into their inbox, which is different than showing up to their YouTube feed, because going to your YouTube feed is an extra step, right? An inbox, an email inbox is the closest place you can meet somebody. And if you're showing up every single week with some form of value, this is ideal and it's going to allow you to also promote your products, your offers to them, and have them be like, this is a no-brainer. She knows everything that she's talking about. She brings value to me every single week. I'm interested in this. So email is definitely my favorite place to repurpose content, but there are other ways you can repurpose this long-form piece of content. And one of the ways that I do recommend that you do this is through having a blog on your website that links out to the YouTube video if you are on YouTube. There's a few benefits with this, and number one is that your content is living on a platform that you own. That is one of the major reasons that I do recommend having your content not only on YouTube, but in your own area. If something were to ever happen to these platforms, you just want to make sure that you're not going to lose everything that you've done, all the effort you've put in, and that your ideas, your expertise actually is housed elsewhere. But another reason that it's great to repurpose maybe your videos into a blog is so that you can also get the search terms through that channel. I have another ChatGPT prompt that I will share with you on the screen now for making your video transcript that you get from your YouTube video into a blog. Now, you might be asking yourself, how do I get these transcripts of these videos? And I've talked about it before, but my number one favorite editing tool is Descript because it supplies you a transcript as well as gives you the timeline for editing and of course the view of your video. It is my number one favorite platform. I've been a video editor for 7 years. I've been doing this for so long, and Descript has replaced Final Cut, Adobe Premiere in my toolkit. So it is what I highly recommend. It is extremely user-friendly and it is easy enough for anybody to integrate into their business. So I've given you this big framework. First, understanding why you wanted to create content in the first place, because it's going to be the best indicator for your underlying content strategy, right? Next thing is to lean into long form. Why? Because people invest their attention into you when you produce long form content. It is always going to resonate more with them long term, and it's always going to be more sustainable long term because of search and how things are set up for long form content. You could show up in search years later with your long form content piece versus short form content is really meant to be in the moment. Now, how do you turn this into basically a content marketing system for your business? Is you repurpose this long form piece as an email, as a blog. If you are into social media, you could even repurpose this long form content piece into multiple shorter form content pieces to feed your weekly social media strategy. The point of all of this is to streamline everything to make sense, to be simplified, so that you have the guardrails to work within. You should not be worrying yourself with decision fatigue every single week of what do I create content about? How do I frame it? What should I do on social media? None of that should be a decision you have to make on a weekly basis. You should really be making decisions on your topics and how you're going to create, when you're going to create on a monthly basis, and even as a foundational strategy for your business. And this is something that I actually teach my clients. I produce 3 different podcasts here on YouTube for 3 different clients of mine in the wellness industry. And this system has seriously changed the game, simplified it all. It's a system that I use for my business, and I have gotten 100+% increase to my website over the past 6 months. And it is not from doing nothing and is not from changing nothing from what I was doing previously. And it is all because of this all-in-one content marketing strategy that you can adopt today. I just gave you the prompts to do it today if that is something you're interested in, and you can start getting sustainable results in your business without spending any money. This workshop that I am launching on December 1st is going to run through exactly how to do this by producing your own podcast. This is really meant for video podcasters. I'm not necessarily focusing on audio, although it can be translatable to audio, but this is for my people who want to produce their own podcast in less than 10 hours a month. I'm huge on time. I do not want you to waste time. I want you to get real results that are aligned with your goal and building a content strategy from that point. So I'm going to run through goal setting, strategy, as well as my plan to publish method that I've been teaching my clients that runs through planning, creating, editing, and publishing your podcast in full. And I'm telling you, it sounds complicated when you think about producing your own video podcast, right, for your business. But I'm telling you, it can be done in 10 hours or less per month. That's 2.5 hours every week or 30 minutes every weekday. It doesn't have to be complicated. And as long as you are willing to take my direction, I can teach you exactly how to do this for yourself. So if you are interested in signing up for that workshop, I will leave the link below for you. Again, it launches on December 1st. I'm going to present the workshop live, but if you can't make the live, I will also be sending out the recording for all who sign up. If you are watching this and you're like, okay, cool, but how do I stay consistent? I have a system. You're talking about the guardrails, but how do I actually implement these consistency guardrails into my own process, my own schedule, right? You're probably super busy. You don't have a lot of time to spend. And I want to tell you exactly how I do that for my clients in the spirituality wellness space here on YouTube, how we stay consistent, what systems we set up for consistency and visibility specifically. So if you're interested in learning about that, I will put the video on the screen here. And I want to thank you again so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.